900 watts. We are at 12.46 volts. We are drawing 9.3 amps. Well, good morning, guys. GoKWh reached out to me and asked if I do a video on their battery, and I couldn't figure out a reason why not to. So they sent me this, and so I'm going to do a review on it, do an unboxing. So I already cut the top off here, so just kind of opening this up, and it's packaged real nice. We've got the screws here, and looks like the battery down in here. So I moved it down to the floor. So I got this guy really packaged good in here. I'm gonna see if I can pull it out. So I took it out of the box, and here it is. Man, I could throw this on the floor right now and it wouldn't hurt it. So they glued that together. I think I've got to, I don't know how to get it out there. It looks like, I think I'm gonna cut it around here. All right, so I ended up just pulling that battery out of this foam. But I scanned this, and it gets an app for you to download. Then you do a quick registration, and then it'll show up on the screen. It shows the BMS. It shows a ton of information on there. So it's 49% charged. But this is you can kind of read it right there, 12.8 volt, 100 amp, LiFePO4, lithium iron phosphate. So it's a somewhat heavy battery, but it's well made. This is a different plastic. Seems a little more sturdy, I guess. So yeah, this is pretty nice. But yeah, it shows it 49%. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and get it full charged, and we'll see if I can get 51% of the battery in it. Well, guys, I got my Victron charger. It's going to put 5 amps, 12 volt into it. Show you up here that it's zeroed out. So if that was 49%, we'd have to put 51% of the 1280. So I'll put that up here and figure out, well, I'd have to put 51 amps in it, right? So we'll see how much it is in the morning. So I just want to show you information up here. I'll try to put the battery up here, and then I'll put the Victron over here. But that thing gives out quite a bit of information. It's pretty cool. So it's gonna take, what, 10 hours or so to get it charged. But pretty sweet. I don't know why everybody doesn't do that. It's just so nice to know what it is. So 10 hours, it's like 9 o'clock. We'll catch it in the morning. Good morning, guys. Here we are the next morning. We're about 10.5 hours into it. The Victron, I think, is at 13.85. This shows a little bit lower, but it's probably where the readings are coming from. So the Victron's still on bulk charge. I think we're at 51 amps, and I'll show the two screens, the one from the Victron and the one from the battery, but still pumping in. The battery shows it's like 99.5%. So it'll be interesting if that changes once the Victron goes up. And again, I've got the Victron set to 14.2, and you'll see kind of how, right now it's 100% charged, and that voltage is gonna go up and spike, and we're not gonna get much more current in. But we'll see if it balances the cells, and the cells are they're very little apart. So be interesting to see what happens here, how long it takes. Well guys, after it's been about 14 and a half hours, and I'll put some charts up here and try to go by memory, but I went to 14.2 and then it went to absorption and stuck like another amp and a quarter in there, but I think it stuck almost 57 amps inside that battery, and I think the BMS said it could take 51 because it was at 49. But also another one, the temperature, you can see how when you run that voltage up and you're trying to cram all those electrons in there, how the temperature of the battery goes up. And because I normally, I think only go to, I've recently gone to 14.2, but I don't go to 14.4, 14.6, 14.8. It just causes a lot of stress on the battery. But there's also, you can look at like the different cells in there are at different voltages. And so this is on kind of storage right now. And so I'm wanting to see if the cells kind of balance themselves out. So I'm just gonna leave it on there and see if they, I mean, the difference between the high and the low isn't very much. We're in 0.0 of a volt, but just see if it will balance out from there. And then once we get that information, then hook it up to my car and we'll try to pull close to 100 amps. And so then we'll hook it up to my car, and I think when I dial it up, it'll be between 90 and 100 amp that we're pulling out. So it doesn't take but an hour or so. So that'll be interesting to see how the cells, since we can see the individual cells, we can see what they started as and then what they end with, and then I'll charge it back up and we can see kind of what that does. But I like having the BMS in there. That's kind of cool. So I did go ahead and pull the charger off, and I'll show the voltage difference. So it is 12 o'clock, 12:12. I'm just gonna let it sit and see if they kind of adjust themselves, because there's another thing in here where it says balance the cells, and so I hit it, so it'll be interesting to see if they kind of equalize out. Well guys, I let this rest for a few days and it's within 0.007, throw it up here, of a volt. So all the cells kind of balance themselves. I'm not real sure if it's the BMS or the cells, but yeah, everything's pretty close together. I think what I'm gonna do next is do a big drawdown on it. Gonna go ahead and put a couple miles on the car, and we'll see how it does. All right guys, well, I brought this out here. You can see up here in the volt BMS, all of these cells have balanced out at 3.35, and I reset the meter here, so we are at 13.39. At least that's what it says, and that's what we're going to use because that's what we've had consistently on the other batteries. And so basically that's my shunt. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and wire this up, and I'm going to pull, I believe it's 9 amps out of the charger here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this hooked up. All right guys, so I have this hooked up to my Alpha power inverter, 1500 watt. And I've got, actually, I need to plug in my wire to make it work. Okay guys, I got my plug in there. Don't try this at home, but I'm going to do this. It's kind of a consistent test. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have my car pull 9 amps, and I'm gonna run it until the battery or the inverter gives out because of voltage. And I'm going to take the reading at the start at the 300, 600, 900, 1200, and then we'll watch it drop, and just use this kind of as a comparison with the other batteries. So I'm going to go ahead and get a voltage reading. I can actually, I think what I'll do is I'll use this because that's what I've used before. That way it's consistent. So it's that inverter's pulling 0.5 amp and 6.6 watts and 3.38 volts. This is the start, and it is 11:57. I'm going to, where's this at here? Go ahead and get this started. Jump in the car, and I'll get this. All right, so it's already at 9 amps. So we're at 81%, which is 243 miles. So we will see what it does at the end here. So 81%, 243 miles. I'm going to shut the door because it actually shows us more information. So we are pulling, if we can see that there, pulling my 9 amps at 109 volts, 243 miles at about 2 miles an hour. The 2 miles an hour is kind of, doesn't really matter because it depends on your car, I guess. But I'm gonna go ahead and I guess we could go ahead and look at this. So at the start, we are at 12.75 volt, pulling 89 amps at 1134 watts. And we've got 24 watts pumping into it already. So I'm gonna come back at the 300 watt, 600, 900, 1200, and then we'll watch it from the 1200. So tune back in here in a little bit, but everything's charging. All right, so checking back in here at 300 watt, still pulling 90 amps. We're at 12.68 volts, 1136 watts, and pulled 308 watt hours of energy from the battery. The only thing warm is that shunt, but everything else is doing well. All right, so coming back in here at 600 watts, we are at 12.6 volts, steady almost 90 amps, 1133 watts. So everything, this wire's huge. Everything's fine. So we'll check back in at 900. All right, guys, so checking in here at 900 watts. We are at 12.46 volts. We are drawing 9.3 amps, 1137 watts. So again, everything doing good down here. I think that's a pretty good voltage. I think that's the highest we've had. Come over here, look at the car, see what it says. So it says 3 hours and 30 minutes, 245 miles. So it says we've added 2 miles, still pulling 9 amps. So pretty good so far. So because this has got that Bluetooth BMS, I'll put up here, we are at 1,062 watt hours through there, and it says we're about 18%, but look at how close the cells are in pulling down. So I thought that was pretty neat. It says we have 12 minutes left, so we'll see how accurate that is. So just for the heck of it, I'm gonna come in here at 1100 watt hours. We are at 12.21, 93 amps, and 1141 watts being pulled. So doing pretty good. You know, as the voltage drops, the amps go up. The power stays the same, relatively the same. But so far so good. I think this voltage is pretty high at this point. Went down to 12.19, but we might get the full 1280 out of here. We'll see. All right guys, so bringing you in here as we come into 1200. So there we are, 1200 watts pulled. So we are 11.89 volts up to 96.34 amps and 1144 watts. So the voltage is finally starting to drop. The battery states it's got 1280 in it, so it'll be interesting to see here. So I'll probably take a break for a minute and then come back on as we get closer. So I think this is a new record for Hunleygarage. We are at 103 and we are at 11.34 volts at 1250 watt hours pulled out of a 1280 battery. She's doing good. We're up to 102 amps. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll get the full 1280 out of here. Usually the voltage dips enough. We don't get the full amount out. So I don't know. We've got the amps are going up to 104. There the voltage is starting. There we go. So now this says the voltage is dropping down. So we will, I'll keep this on here and we'll see how long she lasts. Doing really good. Really started to drop there at the end. But yeah, this battery's been doing great. I wanted to pull up the Bluetooth and I ran in to use the restroom and it disconnected and I can't get it back, but I wanted to film this. We're getting closer to the rated capacity. Pretty cool. Pretty good battery. That's the fan on that. So voltage is really starting to drop now. Come on, 2 more, and that's just my little setup. So, 1 watt shy. I think we'll give it to her. I think that's pretty good. So, yeah, this is the GoKWh battery, LiFePO4. We got 1,279 watt hours out. I'll have to go back and look at the video and see what voltage that finally pulled, but that's more of the inverter dropping. But I'm gonna go ahead and it'll take me a day to put some charge in there, but I'm gonna go ahead and charge it up. So the car says it got 3 miles and 246 miles now. See if we can see what the percentage is. So 82%, 246 miles is what the car says. So pretty cool. I think I'm going to be doing some more tests. I think I'm getting another battery from them. It's a little bit different shape, so I'll be doing that test. But don't forget to go to my website, hunleygarage.com, and follow the links to everything electronic and then the batteries. And I've got all the different information for those. The next battery I'm going to do is going to be the Redodo Mini. The other batteries that I've done a test on is the Redodo Group 24, and I also did the Greener Power Mini, and I think I need to do this one yet. Can't remember, but yeah, thanks for watching, and catch you on the next one.